Hello, what's going on? It's your boy Brandon Bird. Just checking with you guys. Just checking in with you guys from Indianapolis, Indiana. Um, Obviously, it's a Friday. Just really want to really pay my respect to the late great Aretha Franklin. She passed away early Thursday morning. She would definitely be missed by fans all over the world, and definitely much prayers to the family and friends. But like I said, she had a great, legendary career. She's a legend, great talent, overall talent, uh, magnificent. She could practically do everything. You know what I'm saying? A very unmatched talent. A career that spanned 5 decades. Most artists be lucky to have a decade career or even a 2 decade career. There's only a few artists that really still have somewhat of a thriving, commending career for 2 decades. So definitely much blessings to her talent. Um, she definitely went out peaceful, so that's all that matter. And I'm gonna leave it to that, but definitely rest in peace to Miss Aretha Franklin. I might touch a little bit about Omarosa. There ain't really much to touch about. I look at her as a traitor. I look at her as not really one of us. Her being half African. But I know her father, got killed, and that's probably very unfortunate. And she lived in poverty, and I think she had a lot of visceral or very some type of beef with the 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 life that she was pretty much had to deal with, being poor, living with her Black American DOS mother and everything, living in the project. So she had a very gripe about, um, just about the way of just a Black American life in general. Um, but like I said, she pretty much been with Trump for since 2004. You've been with him for since 2004 to 2016. I mean 18. You had to know that there were uh, some type of racism that he displayed, and you chose not to leave because that was your bread and butter, and it didn't affect you because she's an individualist, and she don't move as being a collective. She moves as just being an individual. Now she's trying to move as a collective because she's kind of backed in a corner. And the thing about it to me, and I think all Black Americans understand, if you are against the Black code, you should not be helped. You should not be praised. You should not. There should be nobody looking at your way at all. To me. So that's how I feel about Omarosa. Plus, he's already in major trouble. If the White House want to pursue um, some legal uh, indictment, because she brought in a recorder to a situation room that's very a high security risk area. Plus that's like within the West Wings and stuff. You ain't supposed to be recorded in the White House. That's something really against the law. They could actually bring up espionage laws, or they could bring up wiretapping laws, and those are all federal government type charges. So she could be really in trouble with it. Plus, I said if she really had the recording of him saying the N word, she that should have been the first thing that she would have just released. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like she don't have it. I don't think she got it. Um, I think she's bluffing in my book. I don't think she got it. She would already released it. You know what I'm saying? So, um, but but like I said, she got a bigger situation to be worried about in my eyes. That's pretty much what I'm going to speak on. I really want to jump into my 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 facts of history. I haven't really talked a lot about his historic events. Some a little bit, but not a lot. So I'm probably going to jump in a little bit about the Catholic Church and stuff like that. A little bit of Christianity, of why Christianity was at the beginning stages was very radical. Even when you think about Jesus, Jesus was very radical. He was very outspoken against the power to be, especially of injustice and oppression. He was very big about that, and he was very radical about that as well. That caused a revolution that to become a Christianity. There was a lot of defiance. Like I said, it was a lot of defiance. Also, too, when you Christianity, come from old Judaism, like Judaism come from old monasticism, religions or beliefs from Africa or Egypt. Um, so it has a lot of African origin and spirituality and depth into it, basically rising against oppression. And the Hebrews at the time, or I would say Canaanite or Hebrew or Shasu, um, they were called Jews by the Romans, and Jews is actually a slur. So it's a racial slur, a derogatory term for Hebrew. So for the people that just constantly refer themselves as Jews, you basically you're disrespecting yourself, and you're disrespecting the name of what that word really meant for the Hebrew people or the Canaanite people. But um, I'm gonna keep continuing with it. But yeah, it was a basically radical beginning. It was origins, revolution. I told people, um, the early Christianity was a lot of riots. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of defiance against the government, their laws and policy. It was a lot of defiance with the Caesar, because the Caesar at the time was basically trying to emulate himself or itself as being a god and need to be worshipped. So um, there were very lot of defiance, a lot of killings, and a lot of tragic things that was going on with the early Christians. But it was a revolution until Constantine became a Christian, but he became a Christian really to save the Roman Empire at the time, because it could have been on the verge of just a chaotic breakup, and he didn't want to be that Caesar or that emperor to be the one that let the empire fall. So he definitely he basically strategized, and he strategically made it become an official religion. Now, when he made it official, he basically governmentized. He governmentized um, the movement. He literally, in a way, co-opted the revolution, and then they turned it around and made it into something that's servient and a very, in a way, brainwashed to even oppressing, um, an oppressive um, concept. I wouldn't even say belief system, because the teaching that they teach now have been rewritten, and there were some things that was left out of the Bible. So it's basically been co-opted, changed, and then it turned something that was radical into something to become very submissive to. That's where you got the creation of the Catholic Church. Catholic Church came around um, around the mid. I would say at least around the mid uh, um, 4th century. I think around 360, 350, And I remember when it was developed, it was basically a concept. Now, the word in Catholicism means universe document in Latin, but it was basically a concept, and it took many Christian domination within it. So it was using the culture, the tradition, and custom of what early Christianity embraced, and also Christianity created, and then the process. So it took a lot of those different bits and parts of it, and it basically became like the staple, like the document, the gatekeeper of what Christianity should be about. Um, a lot of Christians didn't take the notion of it, but some did. But um, they had three parishes, parishes at the patriarch at the time. I think you had Antioch, that's out of Turkey. You had Rome, and you had Alexandria. But then, they around the early or late 300s or early 400s, that's when they include Constantinople, and they also include Jerusalem into it. And this is when they had a council. I think it was called the Council of. I'm not sure. It was in year 431, and there was a council. I think it's the Council of Ecro, something like that. Um, if I intentionally butcher that name, let me know in the comment section. But yeah, it was basically perceived to be um, basically a meeting to talk about if Jesus is a God or just a man. And then they also had a conversation about his mother, or quote the Virgin Mary. If she's, will she be perceived? What was her role into it? So at first they rejected the notion that he was a god, and then later on they reversed it, and that's when it caused a major rift within the church and also throughout the empire, because they pretty much they basically were saying he's a god, and Virgin Mary is the mother of God. They named her the God bearer, or Titioko. That means God bearer or mother of God. So basically, the church split because in a way, if you're saying Jesus is God, but you're putting his mother as the mother of God, you basically saying this woman is in a higher position than God is. So if he's supposed to be a God, he's supposed to be God. So it was a major rift that actually caused the empire to split. And that's when you see the Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. The Western Empire, it fell around I think like 475, something like that. Um, when the Roman Empire fell, the Western Roman Empire, but the Eastern Roman Empire was still going on, where, and eventually became the Byzantine, and then very shortly after, I think around the 1100s, 1300s, it became the Ottoman Empire. So, it basically, that decision right there caused a mega shift in power. If you really want to look at it from the west to the east, and it definitely sent riffles and strife, and almost like a and some hatred in the man, because you're going against what the actual content should be. It should be nobody higher than God. Like God is that supreme being, and there's nothing that's higher than God. And what the Catholic Church did, they actually made um, this is no disrespect to women, but they made a woman higher than God itself, and that's what a lot of people was definitely angry about um, for that decision. Especially they actually went against their original decision of rejecting it, and they went with it. So that's pretty much the ordeal about how the Roman Empire is really split into two, almost two empires and stuff like that. And that's really how the Catholic Church was created. It was created on the backdrop of the government of Rome co-opting the revolution that was known to be Christianity. So that's pretty much what my fact of history is. I'll drop a little bit more. I'll probably spit a little bit more. I'll probably touch more about what's going on in current events. Well, and I'll keep everybody posted. You guys have a great day, all right?